We have been together for 4 years. We have 2 kids, and he has worked so hard to provide everything we could ever ask for. He's a very good man, and he works very hard to give us a good life, which I really appreciate him for. But recently, it just feels like I am existing in the marriage alone. I thought marrying a rich man would be great, but apart from being a provider, my husband is a very boring man. I look at my friends' love lives, and it's just very much interesting compared to mine. They are not rich like us, but their husbands still create time for them to go out, go on vacations, and have fun. But my husband never does any of it. And anytime I bring it up to him, he just says, if that's what I want, then that's what we will do. But that pisses me off even more because I don't want to be the one to tell him what to do. I want him to do it because he wants to, and I want him to surprise me with something to at least make our marriage romantic and interesting. He tells me he is working so we will have stability. He says I should be grateful for what we have, but I keep wondering if I'm supposed to be grateful for a life I don't even enjoy. And sometimes I try to think that maybe it's because we are both from different generations, because he is 46 and I am 24, but it doesn't help. I just need some guidance because I want to know if this is a phase in marriage that ends up passing, because I don't think I am ready to spend the rest of my life like this.
Are you happy to see him when he comes home?
No.
Yeah.
And I want.
Have you heard the saying, men are from Mars and women are from Venus? Is it true that men and women speak different languages? The real challenge is that we attempt to build long-term relationships without truly understanding each other. Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. This is DJ Occult Metaphysics, and this is Woke Radio 36.9 on your FM dial. And today we have the Shift Report with the Hood Mystic. Today's topics, Mars square Venus as a transit, as we prepare for the upcoming powerful new moon. Please remember, we getting deep. Make sure you got your scuba gear. But before that, roll up your favorite party favor. Tell the kids to be quiet. Hood is about to go live. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this to your favorite nephew. We are about to go in. This is the Shift Report, where shift happens.
You are now tapped in with Hood in the morning. Call in now.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. See, if that's not the realest shit in the world. Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. Here with another video. It is Hood in the morning, aka the Shift Report, where shift happens. I'm your host, the Hood Mystic. Today we're gonna be discussing Venus square Mars as a transit. Before we get into our reaction video featuring these two lovely characters, let's first look at the chart. Right. We have an exact square between Venus, which is in its exalted sign of Taurus, going to be square Mars in its exalted sign of Leo. And this is where opposites attract or opposites collide, depending on how you look at it. Because a square is sort of like a conjunction, but just with a lot of tension, meaning that it's an unavoidable car crash. It's an unavoidable mess, especially with Mars being exalted, but also debilitated by the South Node, which is tied into your past life, which most people don't have a grasping of that. It's not even something that they truly factor in. However, one would bypass all of the BS if they understood that they were a spiritual being and that they had previous technology, previous knowledge, previous skills, talents, and abilities that they have cultivated over many lifetimes into this one. And at this present time, my baby, she's like going through a lot right now. You know, like girls, they be so sassy, like she's getting fed and stuff like that, but she gonna like be happy one moment, she gonna cry the next moment. She like Carl Thomas, very emotional, but man, she's so adorable. And the reason that I'm bringing her up, because you might hear her cry in the background from time to time, fair warning. And also, we're talking about Venus in full detail, because another hidden aspect to Venus square Mars is that they're both in the third decan of their respective signs. And each third decan in these respective signs represent the sevens. And so the sevens are like Netzach. I don't know, Hebrew wasn't my first language, but Netzach or victory. The magical image is a beautiful naked woman, which is creating a level of worship or fondness or emotional abstraction. And one of the virtues of this particular energy is unselfishness, while one of the vices to this energy is being a loosey goosey. So, with all of this being said, how do we understand the energy in reference to Venus, square Mars, in their respective deacons through this particular energy? And I've come up with the concept of abstraction, right? Abstraction. So this world, I don't even know if that's a word. Let me see if that's a word. De-abstraction. De-abstraction. I'm making up words. So there's no such thing as de-abstraction, but that's what I feel like society has done, and I'll explain it. But let's first explain what abstraction truly means. Abstraction is the process of simplifying complex systems or ideas by focusing on essential characteristics and ignoring irrelevant details. So, in the etymology, right, it is a withdrawal from worldly affairs. However, right, when you look at the world, people don't generally withdraw from this, they immerse themselves in it. So that's why I say it feels like society don't really understand the nature of what truly feels good. Because when we look at another word tied to abstraction, which is Venus, and we have to explain it in a clearer sense, and I will do that, but just give me a second, is asceticism. You got to say that word slow or you just be sounding crazy. Asceticism goes beyond austerity, being more manifestly excessive and more clearly delighting in self-mortification as a good in itself. right? So within the things that we want, we find it to be good within itself. And this is like a high Venusian quality. And especially when we start looking at this reaction video, we gonna bring it all the way home. Because what two cards are we dealing with? We're dealing with valor, and we're dealing with success unfulfilled. We're dealing with the Seven of Discs and the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Discs rules Taurus, and the Seven of Wands rules Leo. Okay? And success unfulfilled is gonna be a person that have worked their whole life for something only to have it. That's a esoteric mind game. You have what you want and you're unfulfilled because within the sevens you're not able to understand Venus as a concept, whereas it is the feeling of the body that provides the good feeling, not the thing that you have. But if I'm feeling great right now because I'm taking ginseng, vitamin B12, ashwagandha, ginkgo biloba, these are things that I just take every day and I feel amazing. The ginkgo biloba has been helping me think. That's why I'm able to like do more content. I'm able to write more. I'm able to study more because I'm taking ginkgo biloba every morning. And that's how I feel inside of me. And this is true Venus. This is God. But the ways have been flipped to whereas people have told you that the Seven of Disc within itself is success. Therefore, everybody is working to get to this place. And then you have people do polls and say, you know, Americans are a lot more depressed because we couldn't figure out how to feel good on the inside. And the Seven of Wands, it's like, you know, if you really look at this card, it's a lot of stress going on. You got one stick and you fighting against 7 other sticks. And yes, you have the advantage. But this is like, you know, Drake or something like that. Yes, you're the best #1 pop star. But everybody is at your neck. And then Kendrick Lamar, he becomes, you know, the savior of rap. And now every song he puts out, it gets a critique. Because there is no particular salvation or solution when so say Kendrick Lamar, Drake, the misunderstanding of success and happiness is through validation. But when you get into the word that we're looking for, aesthetic, you know, I say aesthetic. I don't think that's the proper way of pronouncing it. Ascetic, right? Which is an adjective, meaning it describes something. Practicing rigorous self-denial as religious exercise. How could you promote this within a relationship or within the concept of making a lot of money? And I'm gonna tell you a very important like jewel. When you practice ascetics through your relationship, through your finances, with your children, you're able to appreciate it and you're able to enjoy every single day. So a person might, you know, you might have a great month. An ascetic person isn't going to bring that into like, all right, I'm about to splurge all of this money now. He gonna keep it. He gonna keep with his practice because the practice is the abundance. The body is the abundance. The life is the abundance. So in this world, in these particular times in relationships, people are going to prioritize what they have and what they don't have and what they got. And the problem with that is that you're going to drive your family into massive debt. You're not going to be as prosperous as you can be because you're not even understanding the basic fundamental principle of your body. A rigorous, self-disciplined, laborious monk, hermit, right? These are all Venetian themes. Skilled worker, one who practices an art or a trade. Now, it's two ways to look at this. I'm a skilled worker and I'm doing a skill that makes me a lot of money. Or two, I'm a skilled worker and I'm doing the thing that I love all the time and I'm getting paid for it, but I'm also in a state of bliss because it's one way to be under the clock or clocking in and clocking out and feeling the pressure like if I don't show up today, I'm not going to be able to eat. Versus, man, today we going to go out to the canoe. Today we going to take a walk in the park. Today I'm going to get in a 3-hour workout. I'm going to really challenge myself in the gym. And not to say that people don't do that when they have jobs and stuff like that, because everybody have to work at a certain level. But this, what I'm talking about, is very esoteric in a sense that is going to help you understand how to master life versus to, be on internet shows being clowned because you $80,000 in debt, right? Because you trying to reach this aesthetic by buying it, by working for it. But the aesthetic is internal in the space of what is your skill? What is your talent? What is your ability? And how do you do it every day? Part of this is getting into, so like, all right, I want to connect to myself. I've connected to myself. What's the next step? It should bring about some form of skill, something that you want to learn, something that you want to apply. Maybe it's something that you already know. Maybe you want to rediscover it and bring it to the world. Another example of an ascetic, an athlete, one in training for the arena. You ever heard of an NBA player or a baseball player, man, say, I love what I do? How many times have y'all heard an NFL or a sports player reference that he loves the game, especially the superstars, right? I just love to go out there and hoop. How many times have you heard a musician say, I just love to sing. I just love making beats. I just love jump roping. I just love hula hooping. I don't know. And in a deeper, an aesthetic, to exercise, to train. So once again, we talking about the body. And we talking about being able to feel the body, love the body, and appreciate the body in a sense that buying shit just is not going to cut it. Whether you're rich, whether you're poor, to train for an athletic competition, practice gymnastics, exercise. Now, when we watch this reaction video, I want you to think, do these people actually love themselves, one another, or love life? Or are they looking for external things to validate the human experience? To train for athletic competition, practice gymnastics, exercise. To truly love yourself, to truly exist in a space of love. It was points and times in different relationships where I said I'm gonna go to the gym and my girl would be like, all right, baby, have fun. All right, baby, have fun. You don't need to work out. I'm the only one that need to work out. I'm the only one that need to get stronger. Think about your life. Think about your future. Think about your present. And think about your body. Think about spirituality. Because you're gonna have to master the seven. Because the seven is always a bunch of malarkey, unstable effort, success unfulfilled, illusory success, valor, right? It's a whole bunch of malarkey. Why? Because there is no engagement with the actual seven, which is the seven chakras, which is the endocrine system, which is the central nervous system, which is the body, which masters itself on rest and relaxation, which is mastered through the engagement of said central nervous system through specific training. The dopest training is walking. That's the best as you're gonna get. You could do a little razzle dazzle with some weight training and things of that nature, but the main thing is walking and health. So when we look at a Venus, Taurus, square, a Mars, this is centered in the proper action towards the vessel and also the limitations that one might face to said goals, mentally, emotionally. Another aspect that we deal with in reference to Venus square Mars is that it's just a phase, it's just a process. And something about like, it gotta be dark before it's light, in reference to a new moon as well, that's gonna be coming up this Thursday. Like, another concept that comes to mind? What's up with those New Year's resolutions? Are you healthy? Are you active? Are you in tune with your body? Because that's a large percentage in reference to your mental health as Venus prepares to go through Gemini. It's problems that you go through in life, whether it's relationships, whether it's financial, whether it's health, that it becomes to be a self-created thing because what you want becomes to be an external thing. Like if you follow a trend, everything is going to be okay. If you got your money together, everything is going to be okay. But we're talking about a specific part of the body as well. Let's see. The correspondence in the microcosm, the loins, the hips, the legs. Don't be going to the gym when you a dude. Dudes always go in the gym doing bicep curls, bench presses, things of that nature. Everybody want to do pull-up contests and things of that nature. You never see them boys break out into squats, bring out the deadlifts, go on a walk, stair climber, stair master. Get your body in order. It's not like we living in this world where we blinded by the spirituality at this point. We blinded by the concepts. So on this episode of the Shift Report, we're going to be reacting to his show is called Pain. The host names is Caleb Hammer. And we're going to be reacting to this 35-year-old couple. Right on the left, he would represent Mars conjunct the South Node, where he is traditional. He believes in the thing that he's standing for. While Venus in Taurus he put the responsibility of the finances to her to manage it while he worked and fill up the bank account, which is admirable. But Venus, out of control, would prioritize physical things, material things. Venus in proper harmony is well proportioned, in good shape, with a strong body that can deliver a baby and walk well into old age. Have good posture, good back strength, good leg strength, because leg strength is heart strength, and you need heart strength to live. That's Venus. Me and my wife was taking a walk, and we had did a hamstring workout, and then we had took a walk, and we had walked for like 3 miles, and my hamstrings was on fire like the Ohio players. And I said, what area of the body is this? And I was like, it's Sagittarius. So out of nowhere, I just touched her head, because I'm weird. I just touched her head, and I'm like, this is Aries. And I touched her neck. I said, this is Taurus. I touched her 2 arms. I said, these are Gemini. And then I touched her belly, and I said, this is Cancer. And I touched her breast. I said, all of this is Cancer. And then I touched her heart, rather. I said, this is Leo. And then I touched her stomach and her spleen. I said, this is Virgo. And then I touched her lower back where her kidneys are at. And I said, this is Libra. And then I, this is Scorpio. And then I touched her thighs, and I said, this is Sagittarius. And then I touched her calves, and I said, this is Aquarius. And then I touched her feet, and I said, this was Pisces. And she said, what does this mean? Like, why are you telling me this? How am I supposed to process this information? I said, this is the astrology that we study. This is the only astrology that we know. This is the only real thing that we have. If you think it's something exoteric to the stars and your personality, not even your personality, but how your life is going to play out, the modality for your life to play out is going to be through the vehicle of your body. So when we start studying spirituality, we gonna have to start looking at the person. That's why over these past 3 years, I've had to not really commit to shit other than myself, for real. Meaning that if it's not really based upon success, based upon validation. The success that I'm dealing with is in getting my body together every day. Because if I went, I had my body together in my 20s, maybe like 26, 27, and then I kind of fell off for like 6 or 7 years. I didn't work out. So if I'm going to match that, I got to work out for 6 or 7 years, because that's how the shit really works. If you went 30 years not eating right, and then you be like, well, I want to find a way to lose weight in 90 days. That's not even balance. And I say that all to say, it's a lot of spiritual people and a lot of people on the internet that talk a good game about whatever the fuck they going to talk about. But then when it gets to actual health, it's like it don't fucking matter, because only thing that matter is this materialist matrix spell that they have put on people, which we will see in these reaction videos. And I don't think I'm going to go over all of them. They like nice and chopped up. But I'm going to go over a few to kind of just hammer home this point that I'm trying to make in reference to Venus square Mars. I have some, I don't know what you would call that, just some, how do you, almost have it, but then I lose the word. But just supporting arguments to help us elucidate this particular point and show us this transit, how it's going to mainly show up in our relationships, but in our ideations, because damn, right? What I feel I deserve as a woman, I should be able to attract. What I feel my wife should do because I'm a certain type of man, it should happen, but that should not happening. So we would need to understand Venus square Mars, because what's practical and logical to you and would make just so much sense to you will have you sitting in your room single as hell, you and your relationship in full turmoil because everybody is operating at their common sense. But sense ain't common, and common sense is one of the best rappers from Chicago, and that's where it just stops at.
$9,200 a month net? That ain't bad. People like the high income earners. Here we have them. That's good. Why the fuck are you on this show? Why are you here?
Ultimately, our spending has gotten out of hand, and we need to fix our spending. Otherwise, I have told her that this will likely end in a divorce. At the beginning of the year, we were trying to determine how to best tackle our existing debt, and I've been listening to her tell me like, hey, like everything's fine, I've got money for this. I've been seeing a bunch of boxes come in and no boo-boos come out of them.
Get boo-boos? The fuck is wrong with you? It's a trend that's gonna die.
And at a certain point, we gonna have to deal with the demonic entity such as Labubu, cause like my mind was like I was red pill on Chucky just as a concept, cause I'm thinking like Chucky, this crazy doll, right? But then when you get into the etymology of the story, it's an actual person that's a serial killer that possesses the doll, and then the doll is not even the doll. So it's not even about Chucky is short for Charles, the man that's possessing Chucky, in the ways for which he possesses Chucky is through voodoo and Dambala of Voodoo Loa specifically. And Chucky being this worldwide phenomenon, it shows me that the energy is real, because the concept within the story is not literal, it's spiritual. So when you look at all these goddamn trends that people be a part of, we talking about spiritual possession at the deepest level. But in reference to this and her getting all these labubus and spending all this money, and what he's about to allude to is the question that I get is like, how do it happen? How do you get into $80,000 in debt? Right? I wish I could go into $80,000 in debt. Shit. Like, where do you sign up? You know what I'm saying? To go into, you know how people be like, I was $1.5 million in debt. How? I want to sign up. I want to be that deep in debt too.
It's the Stanley. It's gonna die in like 6 months. You know, it's everyone moves on to the next thing.
It's the millennials beanie baby.
Oh, fuck. And I technically am a millennial by 1 year. Kill me now. But I would also say $80,000 of bad debt is something else to be concerned about.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the total at the time.
You weren't? What did you think it was?
I was trusting her to take care of it, so...
And that's the thing, right? The initial paradox in a square. Trust. Trust in what? Because when we look at esoteric conversations, we're talking about the process of inner dialogue that you should be able to see within yourself, but also see it within your partner to see if something is not matching up. Because when that thing ain't matching up, what tends to happen is that you hope that things get better, but that's not realistic in the sense of if you have a leaky pipe that have a hole in it, it ain't no hoping that water don't leak all over the house. What then is the case that we're bringing to the surface? The longer that you don't deal with the ideological difference, the more that the house floods.
Tell me how much the household spent last month. We know what comes in, about 10.
So 9,000 comes in, and he's asking how much goes out a month. Like, do you know? And this is another conversation that I've been having lately in reference to just understanding your books, understanding your accountant, not even if you got a business, if you got a job. And if you got a job and you got money coming in and you got money spending it, the propensity is that you will spend more money than you make if you don't budget. If you don't, and then why wouldn't you budget? Why is it so hard to budget? Because the abstraction of the thing. So Venus is love. When you abstract love into a thing, this is a cup. Cup don't mean shit. Venus is, I love this cup. This is my favorite cup. I never want to leave this cup. I'm in love with this cup. What's the issue? It's just a fucking cup. So thus Venus is being projected on the external world, and there are so many things. It's Labubus, it's Stanley Cups, it's you name it, I need to buy it. Thus, when the money comes in, you're not thinking, I can't really get anything. Let's talk about that. Really, you don't need to get anything. You need to understand the most important thing is the body in the vessel, and then start working from there. Are the things that you get supporting the vessel, or is it breaking down the vessel? You don't go, unless you LeBron James, you don't go spend $1 million on your body. But the question is, do you know how much money you've been spending a month? And let's see what she comes up with.
10K, 9,200, 9,400?
I think maybe like 11.
Okay, it was $22,229. You don't know what the f is possibly going on. Tell me how much the household spent last.
And it's like, don't be surprised. It's like when you have cash and you spend that cash fast, and it's like, damn, I spent that money fast. I can't even spend no more. But when you got a card and you spend it like that, what tends to happen? You go into overdraft. You know, you use the card, but like deny. You like, damn, how that shit could deny? You start looking at, you'll look at your balance, it say 274. You start looking at your charges. You like, hold on, man. You pull out your calculator. You start adding it up. You be like, well, I'll be fucking damn. I spent all of that fucking money, because that's the reality of this shit. So do you have to be poor and budget? Do you have to be rich and budget? Only rich people can spend freely. Rich people don't need to budget. That's crazy. I bet you $1 million. Anybody want to bet $1 million? Because I need that shit. That the richer you are, the more you budget. And the more poor you are, the less you budget. How much y'all want to bet? I would just want to ask Google. Let's get nasty. Let's get freaky. Do wealthy people budget? Let's get nasty. Yes, wealthy people do budget, although their approach may differ from what's traditionally thought of as budgeting. While they might not meticulously track every dollar, they still have a financial plan and make conscious decisions about how they allocate their money. This often involves setting financial goals, understanding their cash flow, and making informed decisions about investments and long-term strategies. Should lower income people budget? Yes, budgeting can be very beneficial for individuals with lower incomes, even though it presents unique challenges, right? Because not to budget outside of you not paying your bills, that defeats the purpose. But let's get back into this reaction video and get into the next part or next section.
Up until recently, there wasn't any issues.
You brought up the divorce a month ago, but you said you started thinking about it when you saw the balance. When did you start seeing the balance?
That same day, basically.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you started to see any change?
Yes, I have been putting my foot down a lot more.
So it's you. It's you stepping up. It's not her.
It's me. I'm worried about my son. I'm worried about us as a couple. I grew up maybe lower middle class and went without the things that I wanted, and I want him to have those things. So it's very...
Well, why have you put up with her out of control spending for so long?
I love her.
And it's like, so when we create polarities within our love life, we have to be sure that that person respects you and sees the future of your life being as successful as possible. So old school regular love is a woman feeding you chicken, pot roast, sausage, bacon, collard greens and neck bones, oxtails, like slowly killing you on a day-to-day basis, right? Feeding you bullshit, but saying I love you behind it, right? Being unhealthy and claiming love is an abstraction toward self-love. So what Venus does is abstracts love into something else. And the dastardly shit, man. I don't even know if that's a word. Is dastardly a word? What does dastardly is a word, man. What does it mean? Oh, I'm cold with this shit. Wicked and cruel. Perfect. That's exactly what I mean right now. The dastardly thing is that this person is not even going to care that you love to this degree. And the shit that everybody is doing is killing them, making them unhealthy. Just wicked.
Whatever. Does it really matter where it's coming from if you're spending money on it?
I mean, it's the reason why I'm spending money on it is because I feel like I lost out on my childhood just not being able to have things like this.
So when you look at Venus, which is in that third decan, that seven of this space where a person has to work hard to accomplish something, within that esoteric lesson is letting you know before you even go out on a journey that is not going to fulfill you. Everything in the sevens is going to be like, oh man, this is horrible. To understand and overstand, the ascetic is to understand and overstand yourself in a physical, mental, spiritual, emotional space. And it's not going to be like, okay, I feel good just standing in my living room. This is all I need right now to just stand here. I don't need nothing else. I don't need no relationship. I don't need to get healthy. I don't need to have successful relationships. I don't need to travel. I don't need to go out into nature. I can just stand here. No. But when a person will sit back and say, I need to heal, I need to relive my childhood fantasies by spending money, that's not even real. That's just some shit motherfuckers is going to say. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you ain't give a fuck about money when you was a kid. In the bad life that you ain't think like, I mean, once you got to a certain age, maybe, right? I ain't have this, I ain't have the latest Jordans and all that. But if you, like, my kids to a certain point don't give a fuck about their shoes. Like, they not aware that they don't have shit because my son's Jesse. He's fucking 4. He wake up on the same time. Just a ball of joy. Not related to money. Only thing he get happy for real, a Batman toy. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars. Just buy yourself a fucking Barbie doll. You feel me? What are we talking about? You going into debt off of a concept, and it ain't even real. I'm going to tell you what the real shit is. You, as a body. Your body is your only possession. So let's look up Taurus. We just bring it into a point of reference, right? Venus being in Taurus, right? And Leo being, well, Mars being in Leo. And then Venus and possessions. Or even Taurus, matter of fact. Taurus and possessions. Taurus, ruled by Venus, enjoys the finer things in life. So, it's always got to be a mansion. It always got to be a diamond ring. What is the true finer things in life in reference to a Venusian aspect? A beautiful naked woman. Which is Netzach, which is also Venus. Nobody is being mean.
Yeah, I think 8 years of Disney should kind of make up for a lot of that.
No,
Yeah,
wait, 8 years at Disney?
we've had Disney passes for 8 years.
You can't afford anything. He's about to fucking walk here choosing Mickey.
So it's like the thing of it was, right. My fault. I meant to share that with y'all. The thing of it, yeah, childhood trauma, right? Because they want to go to Disney World, right? And they got Disney passes, right? And it's like they also are $80,000 in debt. So the overall gist of the thing is like, all right, and they making good money, right? So you making good money, you got $80,000 in debt. So the woman, if watching the full podcast, the woman is like, I'm trying to just go in deeper debt because fuck it. And the husband is saying, let's pay off this debt. Right? So, with all of that being said, you got to really think about it in this world that we live in, where it's just this limitless enjoyment of life. masqueraded as healing childhood trauma, but childhood trauma and real life things that are taking place, you have to be spiritually awakened, not to be trauma informed, but to be adult informed. But when we talk about relationships, when we talk about Venus and we talk about Mars, we're talking about two completely different things, right? And so this is John Gray. He wrote a book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And I'm not going, it's like, I'll put the link in the description, but I'm going to just really show one lesson and really try to just kind of elucidate this point that the things that you do as a man don't equate to the things that your partner receive it as, because y'all are operating on two different emotional frequencies. And if you don't understand it, you could be a rich man, you could be a provider, you could love, but maybe you don't do the emotional things that she expects, and therefore she mad at you. And it's nothing that the money or the, listen, you could be a provider for 10 years and she get mad at you. She's not going to reference the fact that you provided for 10 years. That don't matter. And I'm not saying don't provide, but don't provide under the guise that it matters. Provide because you want to provide, and that's the satisfaction. So everything Venus is esoteric. Everything Venus is ascetic. How I feel, how a person feels is an internal game. One of the spiritual illusions is that of an empath, which is just a simple projection or a simple blame shift in reference to your inability to get in control of how you want to feel. Oh, I'm an empath, so no, you just unaware.
Scoring points with the opposite sex. No matter how big or small a gift of love is, for a woman it scores just 1 point. But in a man's mind, a bigger gift means more points. Let's say Danny raised his income from $50,000 to $100,000 to support the family. To him that may be worth 50 points, but to his wife, that's only 1 point. Likewise, if he bought an expensive car for his wife as a gift of love, it would still be worth 1 point no matter how much he paid for the car. This can explain why men get confused when their wives aren't satisfied. Giving your wife 2 kisses, 2 hugs, and a compliment could score you many more points than if you were to buy her an expensive watch. And now the last lesson. Speaking different languages. Honey, are you okay? I'm fine, so she says. She might be fine, but she might not. When a guy says he's fine, he's fine. So, to fully express their feelings, women speak poetically, use superlatives, metaphors, and generalizations. Men mistakenly take these expressions literally and misunderstand the intended meaning. So what should you do? Look deeper. What is the underlying issue? Here's an example. Sally says, "The house is always a mess." Cecil replies, "Are you kidding me? I always clean the house, and before I'm finished, you mess it up again." Now this is a bad way of responding, because what she really may mean is, "I need to relax today, but the house is messy. I'm frustrated, and I need to rest. You clean a lot for me, but for today could you please offer to help clean part of it?" Try not to take everything literally, especially when emotions are running high, otherwise you'll get frustrated. Another example. Sally says, "You don't love me anymore." But what she really may mean is, "Today I don't feel loved. I know you love me, I'm just feeling a little insecure at the moment. Would you reassure me of your love?" Don't expect to be perfect at reading women straight away. It takes time and effort to get to know how your partner behaves. And
that really, like, watching this, it really brought up that particular concept where like people do not understand one another when it comes to being in a relationship, and then understanding the languages and the motivation of their partner beyond sex. But when you talk about Venus, when you talk about Mars, and you talk about tension, it's either you're going to override this tension internally, understand this tension, and adjust accordingly, or it's going to be something that y'all will argue about forever. Because one of the things that, you know, I recently had to get through and accept is that, you know, this person not going to understand me, nor is this person going to change for me. This person is who they want to be. And, you know, the hard thing about life is when a person is committed to disrespect, whether that's financially, whether that's emotionally, you know, and within this dynamic, I see a commitment to disrespect, which would be Venus square Mars, which is not trying to see eye to eye, not trying to compromise, not trying to figure it out in the middle, but a reality and a choice to make in reference to how to deal with that reality moving forward, which should be an aesthetic, which should be something that you really want to do, that you're like, you know what, fuck it. I'm about to lock in. I'm about to take care of it. I'm about to show up. I'm not going to be held back. And it's really aligned to your soul too, because Mars is going to be conjunct the South Node. So all tension is to create a solution within yourself and a particular change, how I'm viewing the situation. So like when I'm reacting into this video, I'm not really poking fun or talking about them per se, but really trying to bring home a point and try to explain astrology, and just not in a way where I'm just like reading shit like, oh yeah, I've read this book and I'm regurgitating the words that I've read. No, like astrology is real, right? You can express, you can see full on qualities of Mars and Venus, albeit lost in the physical. Whereas if it was me, my advice for them would be to eat less and work out more, walk more and bond through exercise. If y'all love each other, y'all love each other's body. Y'all cannot be so busy into shit that y'all can't work out. Y'all can't be so rich that y'all can't create time to exercise.
Yay for the kid, yay for you. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I mean, that's not going to matter when you're dead. Like
when you're dead, but if you want to pass any assets on to your kid, it sure the fuck will, because they'll have to settle your debts. So you're just going to accumulate all debt forever? Good luck. Really f***ing over the kid. And any future ones that come about.
He's going to be the only one. But...
Well, so you're f***ing him.
Because we can't afford another one.
I would like to have another kid. So
what, are you serious? So we want to have another kid, but we can't afford another one because of your actions and your selfishness and inability to change without him putting his foot down. You will not have another kid. The household, the life, that the family that you guys want to have, you are prioritizing. To be clear, la bobos, like literally, over future children and over your kid's future. What the fuck? I think she should have an ultimatum. I think you are correct in the ultimatum you gave. Thought maybe it was a little dramatic at first. No. What the fuck?
So yeah, man, that was the video. Just it felt very much tied into this particular square transit, and I've been studying the new moon, and it's a lot to cover in reference to the new moon. You got the sun opposing Pluto, but then you also got Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune doing a little dance. And then in reference to the sun, the sun and the moon, which this isn't the full moon chart, but just imagine that moon going to move over to align with the sun. It's going to be in contact with Pluto, going to be in contact with Saturn, Neptune, also going to be in contact with Uranus. But at the same time, Venus and Mars is going to be in an exact square, and all of these planets are going to be in perfect alignment. So very intense, powerful energy that we can begin to expect. But my goal with my content is to just not talk about it and just like, oh yeah, Mars is square Venus, and yeah, that doesn't satisfy me at this point. So I'll just be trying to do more research and gain a deeper understanding and how this energy could show up literally, matter of factly, so one could begin to understand moons and astrology in relation to real life, and not just, concepts that people can just make shit up and talk about it in this make-believe way. So with all that being said, man, I hope y'all did enjoy this particular share, as more will be coming down the pike. Be sure to support small businesses. Visit White Rabbit Psych. This episode of the Shift Report was brought to you by White Rabbit Psych. We will be running a discount throughout the week. Some changes coming up this Wednesday. Make sure you sign up to the email list to be abreast of new products, new concepts, and new information, new events, things of that nature. As you know, this is YouTube, and it's just something that I love to do, and I take time, I take energy, and I take organization to present to y'all a concise, clear presentation that makes sense, that would allow you to start to thinking, as opposed to just brain rot material that I see on the internet so much. And with all of that being said, if you got $1, $2, maybe you got 5 million in the bank, I see you at 5 million, shoot me like $50 out of that $5 million sign Hood Mystic 38. Much appreciated, man. Thank y'all for all this support, all of the love. This has been another edition of the Shift Report, where shift happens. I am your host, the Hood Mystic, and I will see you all on the flip side. Peace.
You are now tapped in with Hood in the Morning. Call in now.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. See, if that's not the really